former top 60 player in the world has won for the first time on the Korn Ferry Tour, and we're on the road to French Lick. Hello and welcome once again to the Road to French Lick, a show chronicling the Korn Ferry Tour. I'm Ryan Ballengee. On this week's show, we're going to recap the Utah Championship out at Odgen Golf and Country Club in Utah. We'll get you ready for the rest of the regular season with Brendan Sweeney out in Orlando, who also talks to the coach of the winner of this week's event on the Korn Ferry Tour schedule. First, let's get into a recap of the Utah Championship, as we mentioned, played out in Ogden, Utah. This is a long-running event on the schedule. It's well supported by the Utah Sports Council, and it's one that generally has some fascinating winners, and we got another one last week out at Ogden. Julian Suri, a former top 60 player in the official world golf ranking, won the Utah Championship. He concluded the week with 64 and 63 in the final two rounds to finish on 18 under 262. That was good enough in the end for a two-shot win over Spencer Levine, Baron Botha, Trace Crow, Kentei Hirata, and Taylor Montgomery, who looked like he was going to win this event and perhaps lock up a spot back on the PGA Tour with full status in 2026, but that will have to wait. Instead, it was Suri with a dramatic birdie on the 72nd hole of the tournament that locked up the title. Let's hear now from Julian Suri, the winner of the Utah Championship.
At that point, again, I knew I'd seen the leaderboard on the 17th tee box, so I knew I was one up, but those guys have so many holes to play, and there's some birdie holes in there, especially 13 through 15. So I was like, let's just finish this thing out the way I want to, and I was able to do that. So that was nice.
At what point today did you think that you've gotten yourself in the mix and done enough to kind of get in contention?
I made those three birdies in a row from 13 to 15, and then I was like, okay, well, I'm 5 under today. I'm 16 total. Is that right? No, 17 total. I finished at 18. So I got to 17, and I was like, that's got to be close. I kind of seen at the turn they weren't doing much on the front nine, and figured if I could just post something early and kind of scare them a little bit, and I was proud of the way I executed down the stretch, because I've been fighting some swing stuff the last few months, years, whatever, and I executed the way I know I can, which was really nice.
With his win in the Utah Championship, Julian Suri climbs up into the top 20 for the first time this year in the Korn Ferry Tour point standings. He moves from 60th to 16th, puts him comfortably inside that top 20 number, at least for now, with just 2 regular season events remaining, and then the 4 events of the Korn Ferry Tour final. So 6 events remaining on the schedule to get into and remain in the top 20 to earn a PGA Tour card for 2026. But there has not been a change at the top 5 of these standings. Johnny Kiefer remains number 1 at the top of the Korn Ferry Tour point standings with 2,025 points. Austin Smotherman remains in second at 1,844 points. Neil Shipley is in third place at Neil Shipley is third at 1,530 points. Hank Lebioda is fourth at 1,390 points. And S.H. Kim is in fifth place at 1,343 points. The most important thing to note in the final couple of events of the regular season is that you have to get into the top 156 players in the point standings to earn a berth into the first leg of the playoffs in Nashville, Tennessee, the Simmons Bank Championship. Otherwise, you're left out of the playoffs, and you really don't have an opportunity to earn status through the Korn Ferry Tour season for next year, either on the Korn Ferry Tour or on the PGA Tour through Q School. So, important to get into the tournament in the top 156. Then when you make fields a little bit progressively smaller over the next couple of events, ultimately trying to get into that top 75 that gets in the Korn Ferry Tour Championship presented by United Leasing and Finance.
You've arrived at French Lick Resort here in Indiana.
Two hotels you have to see to believe. Legendary Golf by Pete Dye and Donald Ross. Our little corner of the world is like nowhere else. Your French Lick getaway starts now at FrenchLick.com.
Our guest this week on the road to French Lick is Skip Kendall, and you'll know that name as a former PGA Tour player for a long time, having his card and having a lot of success out there in the big show. He has been helping Julian Suri, who was just the winner of the Utah Championship out on the Korn Ferry Tour, got a shout out on Golf Channel after the victory from the winner himself. So we decided to talk to Skip about his work with Julian Suri and what they're doing that's been so successful. Our Brendan Sweeney caught up with him out in Florida, and here's that conversation.
Really love Skip Kendall.
Hey, how's it going?
Putting coach to the stars.
Oh, wow. Well,
Suri with a fringe on top. Julian wins in Utah. And I'm watching the post-round interview,
Yeah.
and he goes, I want to thank Skip Kendall. And I was like, I know that dude.
Pretty funny. I mean, I missed that. I mean, I watched the whole finish. I watched everything, and I even saw him, you know, because he finished so much earlier than the leaders.
Right.
He shot 63 that day, and I mean, just, you know, putted beautifully down the stretch.
He came from nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, 5 shots back going into the last day. And then, you know, did what he did, shot 63. And, you know, they showed him warming up, you know, kind of, well, staying warm on the range after the round. And, you know, once the guy missed a putt on the last hole, you know, and he had the win. Obviously, actually he made bogey on the last hole, so he ended up winning by 2. But I just walked in the other room, and you know, my family was in there. I said, you know, well, Julian won.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, then that's when I got the text from you, and there's probably about right after you, about 3 or 4 other people sent me a text saying, "Hey, man, you know, Julian won. He just gave you a shout out." And I'm like, "Oh, and of course I miss it."
You got to stick around to the end.
So yeah,
We'll get you a copy of it. I'm sure we can find it
yeah,
somewhere.
that'd be cool.
So, how's Skip Kendall doing? What have you been up to, man? Is this your first? You're obviously coaching.
Yeah.
After a storied career on the PGA and Nationwide / Korn Ferry Tour. Is this your first teaching victory of a professional?
I don't know about the first, but definitely on this level. I mean, definitely Korn Ferry Tour. Yeah, I have worked with, still do work with a couple of other Korn Ferry players. But Julian obviously pulling off the win last week. Yeah, definitely the first win out there, and probably the biggest event of anyone that I do coach. And he's worked hard though. I mean, it was, you know, and he's a world-class player already.
Oh, yeah.
Winning a couple times on the DP World Tour, and his sole purpose of coming over here, coming back over from the DP World Tour, he wanted to get his PGA Tour card.
Well,
and hopefully, you know, with that win last week, it propels him on to do that.
Well, 500 points help.
Yeah.
And it launched him, I think, to what, 13th or 14th on the
16th.
list? 16th. Yeah,
Yeah.
so he still has some runway.
events.
Yeah, he's got to finish. Top 20 will probably get him in pretty good. But, you know, with the playoffs starting, and I'm sure you've seen this in your career, you know, the last playoff spots, they go from 500 to 600 points on Korn Ferry.
Right.
You're a multiple-time winner on the Korn Ferry Tour. What's it like out there, man?
Well, first of all, they're $1 million purses now, so that makes it a lot better. I think when I was out there, it was half of that.
If even.
So
Q School of Greenleaf.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, listen, the Korn Ferry Tour is a great tour. I tell people all the time that, you know, God forbid something happened to the PGA Tour, you know, Korn Ferry guys could step in, and you may not know the names right now, but the play is just phenomenal.
It's crazy good.
You know, it's really good. You may not know the names yet, but you will, and especially the guys. I always say, you know, you can never hold a good player back.
Mm-mm.
And so, you know, when they start playing well, and they usually, a lot of them figure it out. Some don't, but some do. And, you know, those players go on to usually have, you know, very nice careers on the PGA Tour.
When you received your card, your PGA Tour card, for the first time, it wasn't, you had to go through Q School, correct?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, so.
That was quite a story, actually.
Yeah. You want to talk about it? Go ahead.
So, 1992, TPC at Houston.
Okay.
It was at the last time I think it was ever played in Houston, Texas, because of what happened. And it always goes. It seems like it goes back and forth. I mean, sometimes some years it's in Florida, some years it's in California, Arizona. I'm not even sure if they're doing that. And now it's different too, because it's all, about, Korn Ferry. I think a couple of guys from the Korn Ferry can get their cards now from the PGA Tour. I think it's maybe a total of 5 now. I'm not even sure exactly.
Okay.
So I'm not sure. But anyway, it used to be, last few years, it's just been for Korn Ferry Tour. That's the way you had to play your way onto the PGA Tour. So anyway, 1992, now this is when, so there was 10 cards given that year from the, at the time, I think it was either Hogan or Nike Tour. This is 92.
Yep.
I think I finished in the top 25 to get all the way to finals. It was my first finals ever.
Right.
And I get to the TPC. First day I'm playing the championship course. I shoot 79. And in perfect weather. I mean, it was like low 70s, sunny, not much wind. It was perfect. And out of 180 guys that were there, yep, I'm in 180th place.
DFL.
And I was like beside myself. I mean, I was hot. Emotions were running kind of high. And I just told myself, though, because what was going to happen was the weather was going to change. There was this big weather front coming in, and it got down to really cold that night. And I stepped outside, and fortunately, I was staying on property there, and I was playing the West Course then. I think it was called the West Course, and I was teeing off number 10, and it was only like 50 yards from my hotel room, so I could see the tee. I stepped outside. It was 35 degrees.
Yikes.
I said, I am not going to the range in this, or the putting green. I warmed up in the room, hit some putts on the carpet. After that, I just made some swings, stretched, and that's it. I went to the first tee, or the 10th tee it was, and birdied the first hole, birdied the second hole, and just played really well that day. Shot 5 under that day, and just kept chipping away. And I go into the fifth round. I shoot 5 under. And I went from like maybe 30th place going into the 5th day into the last group. I think I was tied for the lead, and shoot 1 under the last day, and basically win Q School.
Oh.
And I mean, I think I tied with some other guys that were there, but I finished first, and so I went from last to first in 5 rounds.
Persevered.
So that was emotions. Were super high. I mean, again, I went from the lowest of lows after the first round to, really giving myself a pep talk to, winning. And I think after a week after I got off my bender, I, realized I was actually going to be a rookie on the PGA Tour in 1993. And, that was how it all started.
Off and running.
That was crazy.
Well, a crazy career happened.
Yeah, it was
Family,
nice.
everybody's doing great. And
for a little shit out of Wisconsin, it was I way overachieved. I mean, I think media would call it a journeyman career, but
hey,
that being said, I was out there for a while and quite a long time, and it was I pinched myself every day that I was able to do.
Tell us about what you're doing now.
Yeah, so really got done with the 2019 year on Champions Tour.
Right.
33 years of playing. Got home, got in the house, told my wife, I think I think this was it. If I have to get on another airplane right now, I think I'll be physically ill. Just didn't have the motivation to keep going. And I had started teaching actually a couple of years prior. Champions Tour, we don't play every week. So that was kind of a cool story how that started. But that being said, I had a lot of nice juniors that I was teaching, some Korn Ferry players. And one thing just led to another. And, all of a sudden I was getting a lot of calls from, parents talk.
Sure.
So when some of the players start having success, all of a sudden I'm getting phone calls from other parents, and it was just word of mouth, and that's kind of how it all started. And so, I've been at the Marriott World Center here in Orlando for the last probably 5.5 years, and I have another facility up at Hammock Beach.
Okay.
The Ocean Course Conservatory that I teach up there. I go up there about once a month and run schools out of there, and going to do a lot more schools here probably as well, and just have a lot of really nice players. I love teaching the juniors, developing them. I have a lot of really, upper level elite juniors that I coach, and that's been just amazing to help them see the development and the progress that they make. And I'm just, I've been blessed my whole life, so this has just been another blessing that has happened, and kind of a second career,
We're giving back.
Correct, yeah, but it's been great.
So how do they get a hold of you?
Well, now my YouTube channel has started, Skip Kendall on YouTube. Also, I'm on Instagram. Same thing.
Instagram.
Yeah, you can always DM me. Emails are all over the place. That's probably the easiest.
You're not too hard to find.
That's probably the easiest way. I mean, obviously, I'm here at the Marriott World Center in Orlando. You can always find me. Yeah, it wouldn't be hard, put it that way.
Well, hey, man, thanks for your friendship. Thanks for your time. And look up Skip Kendall. He's the coach of the Stars as we speak. So good luck. Best of luck, man.
All right, thanks. Thanks, Brendan. Appreciate it.
Brendan Sweeney joins me from Orlando and Myrtle Beach this week, and we're going to recap the Utah Championship out at Ogden Golf and Country Club. We got a surprise winner in Julian Suri, a guy who about a decade ago was in the top 60 in the world. He was playing great on the DP World Tour, got hampered by injuries. It is a long road back, but now he is a Korn Ferry Tour winner for the first time, and he finds himself now in 16th position in the points with about a half dozen events left in the year. I mean, this is a huge turning point in his year.
Absolutely. Yeah, he finishes up with a 63, 5 birdies on the backside, and pretty much knocked Taylor Montgomery and Robbie Shelton. They were winning for the first 3 days of the tournament. It was almost a lock, and all of a sudden he comes out of nowhere and bang. So, yeah, good for him. He's a good guy, and one of the cool things about it is we were watching it on Golf Channel, obviously, and then in his post-round interview, he gives us a shout-out out of nowhere to old buddy of mine, Skip Kendall. So I was thinking, hey, who would be great to have for the show this week? And so I called Skip. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, dude, he's got a shout out on Golf Channel. He's like, no kidding. So I went and spoke to him. So we'll watch that later on in the show. And in the meantime, wow, what a great victory by Julian. Came on strong. I mean, he's a seasoned vet, and he shot up to 16th on the points list. So good for him.
Yeah, he improved in every round, 69, 66, 64, 63. That usually does pretty good in the end, especially those big moves on Sunday. And Spencer Levine, for what it was worth, shot a 64 on Sunday, and he got into a tie for second with Baron Botha, who we have an interview with. We'll share that soon on the show. And Trace Crow has been having a really nice year. Kensei Hirata is going to be in the top 10 of the points. And then Taylor Montgomery, as you mentioned, who's kind of been straddling between the PGA Tour and the Korn Ferry Tour.
Hey, another big surpriser out there who's got his conditional status is the young phenom, Blades Brown, coming on strong, too, with a top 10. I think he finished 7th this week. Yep. So, yeah, if he keeps on coming on, we'll see him somewhere, that's for sure. So good for him.
I mean, he's basically guaranteed to be in almost every playoff event or Korn Ferry Tour Finals event at this point. I think other than the Korn Ferry Tour Championship presented by United Leasing and Finance. He's not guaranteed to be in that yet, but he's guaranteed to be in the other Korn Ferry Tour Finals events. He could play his way into, I think, one other event in the regular season that he might have to play his way into, but he's got enough points on the points list that he's getting all the way through at least the first 3 finals events. So he's going to give himself every opportunity to at least get to French Lick and have a look at getting a PGA Tour card. I think that should be very commended.
Yeah, good for him. I mean, what were you doing at 17, right?
Definitely not this.
Definitely not this.
I promise you that.
That's amazing.
I mean, he's sitting at 68th on the points right now. I mean, he's ahead of Taylor Montgomery, who's been on the PGA Tour. He's ahead of Cole Hammer, who played in the U.S. Open at the age of 15. He's ahead of the guy who finished second last week, Spencer Levine. He's ahead of James Nichols, who played in the U.S. Open this year and played really well. I mean, he's having a great year, and he finds himself, like you said, as a teenager in some pretty impressive company.
That's amazing. Yeah, we'll track him down. I'm planning on going to Ohio, maybe catch one right before that as well, too. So we'll track down some guys at the range and sort of see what we can do for there. So in the meantime, Omaha, Nebraska is coming up this week. And it's another hammer down, man. The points list is getting tighter. People are getting separated. And then, as we mentioned before, when the playoff starts, those winning points go from 500 to 600. So always exciting out there. And you see guys who know what they're doing, and some guys get hot. We need, the points to top 20. That's a new number this year. It's not 30 anymore. So it's getting tight at the top. And as you mentioned before in the previous shows, that probably about 7 or 8 guys are guaranteed a card right now. So there's really about 12 or 13 spots left open.
Yeah, and I know we've got 2 regular season events left. We've got this one this week in Nebraska with the Pinnacle Bank, and then the Albertsons Boise Open, which for a long time was the start of the finals. Now is the last regular season event. So we have kind of time to focus on getting in that top 156, because that's what gets you into the first event of the finals. And that's down in Nashville, Tennessee. And you're looking at guys that have anywhere between 50 and 70 points for the season that they need to do some work to assure themselves a spot. I mean, guys that have been on the PGA Tour like Kevin Chappell, Tano Goya, Chesson Hadley, Jose de Jesus Rodriguez, who was the leading point leader a few years ago and struggled on the PGA Tour, Ryan Armour, Tommy Gainey, all kinds of guys.
Scott Kushevsky.
Yeah, I mean, they've got to find a way to at least get into the tournament, so to speak, get into the top 156. And then who knows from there? Like we talked about last year with Bryson Nimmer. Barely got in last year, got his way into the third event. That set him up for some form of conditional status, which eventually led to a win and now has him with a place to play for 2 years regardless on the Korn Ferry Tour.
Absolutely. So, basically 2 tournaments left and playoffs begin. So we'll be following it here on Road to French Lick. And we're looking forward to another great championship at French Lick coming up in October. Presented by United Leasing and Finance at the French Lick Resort. So, Ryan, thanks a lot for your time, buddy. Let's have a great week this week and never know what happens.
Before you know it, it's playoff time. So, thanks, Brendan, as always. Appreciate it.
See you, bud.
That'll do it for us this week on the Road to French Lick. Thanks so much for watching. We appreciate it. The next Korn Ferry Tour event is the Pinnacle Bank Championship out in Omaha, Nebraska. And then there's one final regular season event, the Albertsons Boise Open out in Idaho. We'll have shows for you to recap those events, and then we have shows throughout the Korn Ferry Tour finals, concluding with the Korn Ferry Tour Championship presented by United Leasing and Finance, and we'll be on site at the Pete Dye course at French Lick Resort in French Lick, Indiana for that show. For Brendan Sweeney and everyone at the French Lick Resort, I'm Ryan Ballengee. For everyone at Golf News Net, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time on the Road to French Lick.
French Lick, Indiana, our little corner of the world, has big things waiting. It's where legends were made, on the court and on the course. Walter Hagen, Colin Montgomery, Betsy Rawls, and Mickey Wright. It's where life is lived to the fullest, and where unexpected adventures are around every corner. Big things are waiting. Are you in? Visit FrenchLick.com and start your escape here in Indiana.